Hello, Guardians. Coming to you from the last city on Earth, it's the Guardian Lounge. I'm your host and Titan main, Krissa, otherwise known as Lady Hawkmoon, and I've brought some friends with me to talk about our history with Destiny. Before we get started, why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Hey out there, everyone. My name's Lady Aileros, and I am the resident and only warlock in this little party.
Hey everyone, I'm Mini, generally go by miniwak. I'm Hunter main.
Hey y'all, what's happening? I'm Sir Slips. I am a Titan main, pretty much only a Sunbreaker main at this point.
Hey, it's Amber again. I am generally a hunter main.
All right, so that's everybody, and today we'll be covering some introductions to our Guardians. And we're going to start off with, have you guys ever thought of what your name for your Guardian is?
Yeah, I tend to stick to one or two names with any sort of character I make online, and it's a name I've just label onto my guardian now because it's easier than just anything else. And it's just Kinro, so Kinro. It's a name I've had for years and years, and it just fits.
Yeah, I think I've named all three of them, and I'm pretty happy with it at this point. I mean, I only really play Titan 90% of the time though, so it's not. I don't know. It feels weird to have names and like vague backstories for most of them, and be like, no. It's like they don't come up as much, but my main is Rhea Adne, an Awoken Titan. That's Rheaadne, 2 words. And Ares 2, Warlock, and then my hunter, Elise Townsend. It's a name I settled on, and I don't know, I'm not married to it. I never really got married to a name for the hunter.
Yeah, I only have a name for my warlock, but considering all of my characters are the same model, I guess they're kind of all the same. This is going to sound horrible, but they're all kind of the same guardian, just whatever class I feel like playing them as at the moment. She found her name on Venus. She was going through some old archives in the Ishtar Collective, and she found the name Astarte, which she's still learning what it. I know what it means, but she doesn't. It's a Phoenician goddess associated with war and the planet Venus. So she decided she liked that, and she calls herself Astarte. Aste.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I know for mine, I went with Aramea just because I like the Greek sounding names, and it definitely sounded awoken.
Yeah, I can see that.
So that's what I went with that.
Mine is me. So my name is Amber. My human hunter, her name is Amber. Essentially, it's like me if I had died and then come back. So
Here's me thinking for a hot second you just called them me. So when someone says, "What's your name?" we just go, "Oh, I'm me."
That would be the best. Walk around the tower. Who are
Such
you?
a
Me.
name.
It's like, so Abbott Costello in the tower.
That brings up a good point. Most of us, it seems, don't associate our guardians with our own person, so we see them as separate from ourselves. Is that the general gist going on with
There's
you
there's
guys?
a little bit of me in my hunter, like in regards to personality and decisions, but broadly speaking, I don't like see it as purely me. It's not like I just took myself and just planted it in the game.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like, I mean, there's obviously traits of me in every character I ever make, just across the board and in most things, probably. But I feel like a lot of qualities I think are input into more of my Titan because it's the one I play the most often. So I think she's just kind of default is more like me on some days. It depends on the situation, but definitely in Forsaken. Ooh man, we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, same. I know. The at the end of the day, I'm the one making the decisions. I'm the one holding the controller. So she's definitely got a lot of me in her. But I play the game to escape from my real life existence. So why would I someone else in this world and explore this world as someone that is native to this world, not myself.
And the fantasy setting definitely helps with that. Well, fantasy sci-fi setting.
Yes.
Fantasy enough.
Yeah.
Space wizards.
They are space wizards, yeah.
And I guess one distinction you could make that helps with that escapism is which race you chose for your guardians. So which races did you guys go with?
Human, because immersion.
Yeah, human, and I liked. It was kind of an aesthetic choice. I liked the human models and the human hairstyles, and just the way the characters shook out more than either of the other two. And I did experiment with the other two with my other back in D1. So
Yeah, like I said, like part.
Mhm.
I when I remember when I was making my characters on D1s, like I liked the look of the exo, but then I was thinking like I don't quite like the horns or like the metal like panels they can have on their head, and also thinking like now it bothers me with the whole Power Ranger problem with the helmets. Like what is there just gonna be
Yeah.
like just little bulging on the helmet where the the metal bolts and panels are just like
Don't worry
sticking out?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, I know not to worry about it, but I'm looking at it thinking like, no, Power Ranger problem. No, I can't unsee it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm glad I took most of the stuff off of my exo because my hunter and my warlock were in the other position. I had an exo warlock, excuse me, and a human. Oh, no, sorry, I had an exo hunter and a human warlock originally in D1, and then I switched them when D2 came about. And I have an awoken titan, female, male warlock exo, and the hunter is also a girl, human. Good aesthetics.
Good aesthetics. I went with an awoken titan just because I like to stay away from human with first picks, and exo looked a little bit too robot for me. So I went vaguely human-esque with mine.
You went with the elf equivalent for this MMO.
Yeah, I went with the
Yeah.
elf equivalent. I wanted my dexterity to be a little bit higher now.
That was my actual reasoning though why I picked awoken.
And maxing my stats.
I was like, ooh, this is the thing that's not human, but also not a robot.
I could still associate this with human.
Yeah.
So, Amber, that means you went human because you were basing it off of yourself as well?
Correct. Yes. I mean, an idealized version of myself, obviously, but
The version of you that gets to shoot a bunch of aliens.
well, when I first started Destiny, that was the first game that I picked up since getting an Xbox for the first time in like years and years and years and years. And it was essentially like if I had woken up, I have no actual real, like, I have a little bit of gun skills because I'm from Texas, obviously, but it would be like if I had dropped myself into the game. Like, I started out with absolutely no skill at all. Like, if I had started myself, picked up a gun in the future, would you know how to shoot it? No. And then you, as the game progresses, I get better and better and better. And it, I'm moving along and growing with my character as if, she had grown and learned out of necessity.
That's pretty cool. And with that, do you feel like you've learned at the same pace that you think you should have with how everything works out of necessity? You and her actually doing it together.
Sometimes I feel like I accelerated pretty quickly as far as my skill goes. But if you play with me now, that's probably not the case. I feel like I am good, but I'm not, like, probably not the level that you should be if you're a guardian in the middle of, post-apocalyptic future times.
Yeah, that makes sense. Though,
If this was real, I would probably be dead.
Yeah,
You
but
and
we
me
have
both.
infinite lives.
yeah, then you'd
Yeah.
come back.
and come back and come back.
Oh man, that'd be the worst though if you had like if there'd be some way that you died like how Drifter died with like starving to death. Would that just mean that we're permanently starving?
Yes, that's
Until you eat,
exactly what
yeah.
that means, according to
No,
the
because
Drifter.
he's like apparently he's like still always really hungry.
Yes, he is.
Poor guy.
Oh man, I'm pretty sure he also has PTSD because of that. But
Oh, he definitely has a lot of things.
Yeah, he has subscriptions. He doesn't just have issues.
oof,
Oh man, where's the CVS in the last city?
I haven't built
No,
it yet.
it's down. It's down at the
Please.
bottom of the tower where we can't go.
Why
That's
can't
where
we go
CVS
there?
is.
I want to go to the
Zavala said so.
Zavala. Oh, we'll talk about Zavala.
Oh man. So, with our races that you've chosen, is there anything based on it in your background that you thought of? For example, with my Awoken, my thought process is that she split off with Mara in the beginning, but when the group comes to Earth and they have that, I believe they call it the rebellion, or I'm forgetting the exact term for it, but she splits off again and goes to Earth to help humanity against the Fallen. And that's sort of where she ends up dying at that point in the war against the Fallen.
Man, your backstory was like 90% of what I thought of. I'm a little.
Maybe our Titans were friends.
I will. Now that's now canon.
That's
I
canon.
can't accept
now
it so
canon.
fast. I think I heard something.
Look, all right.
We're Sunbreaker bros. Let's do this.
Yeah. I think our characters are the exact same towards each other as they were in their original life. It's just two Sunbreakers just hanging out, just kicking people in the face really hard.
Yeah.
And Rhea was I would assume would have worked for the Queen. I would assume she would have been very pro Queen's Wrath as she was, just like instinctively. Because I was immensely pro Queen's Wrath before I like joined up with our group, and that was like one of the things I was like the most like cool with. I don't know, but beyond that, I think it was it's interesting to think about whether or not I'd be with the Awoken on Earth, especially due to like how I would have gotten to old Russia is something I always try to think about, because that's I don't remember much about the aesthetic and what was going on in old Russia besides the Fallen. So it's a lot of piecing everything together from stuff I don't remember anymore.
Yeah.
I could go into the other two, but I don't know if I should or if you want me to just save that for more later.
Well,
But they're not
let's hear
awoken.
from
Yeah.
Lady. She had already talked a little bit about your warlock found her name in books, and she's human. What was she before she was a guardian?
Doesn't remember. I kind of play the whole canon like I woke up, irritating little light telling me I had to get up and get moving, and I'm just like, the what? There's things moving. What? I'm kind of my backstory is really it's the game, because I like the idea of waking up and having to figure this world out, and that's especially because I was playing solo for a lot of the before I really got into playing with groups. I was figuring out a lot of the game on my own, and it was kind of just but she woke up and she's just like, I need to figure this out. And so it's kind of been a process of figuring stuff out. In my personal headcanon, when I'm not actively playing, she's hanging out in the tower or hanging out zooming around the galaxy looking for information. Quintessential warlock wants to use her big brain and figure out, why is the galaxy doing this and what's going on. So that's in my headcanon. She went to Venus to poke around in the archives in the Ishtar Collective, and that's where she found the name. Because she got tired of being called Guardian like everyone else. It's like, please, but she's starting to, in my headcanon, she's starting to lot of what she has accepted before as you're a guardian, you the traveler has gifted you with this light and you need to help. But with Forsaken, especially with some of the decisions I made, her made in Forsaken, starting to have doubts, starting to have questions. But so she's the quintessential woke up figuring the world out.
Okay, and just one side question that I have. Is she part of Ikora's Hidden?
If she was, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
You will
Yeah.
never
Dang
confirm.
it.
You will never confirm nor deny such allegations.
Yes,
Are you-
exactly.
Yeah. Are you a cop? You have to tell me if you're a cop.
You have to. As a Sunbreaker, that's the one rule I have.
It's true.
And what about you, Minnie?
Basically, I'm seeing as there is part of me in my character, I do believe, see himself as also being British, like me.
Oh man.
So yeah, imagine
have
being the only Brit in the tower.
Oh shit.
The rest of us are drinking coffee. You're drinking tea.
Just
Excuse you.
Nah,
Coffee
nah,
is gross.
nah, not tea. Just walk around with a pint of lager, being like, "All right, love, how's it going? Where's best?
Man.
Where's
I don't
best
wanna
place
be-
bloke can get a drink, eh?"
Are there
Yeah.
any British voice actors on the Destiny?
Devram.
Devram.
Devram's not a guardian.
That's it.
Devram's definitively not a guardian.
There's Devon. I think there's at least maybe one other person, at least.
There's probably one other, but I don't remember
Dev is
any.
like your new best friend.
Yeah, pop round to his little abandoned shack every Sunday for a nice bit of afternoon tea.
I mean, he's also in the European dead zone, so I assume you would have more personal attachment to the place where people that sound like you come from.
I like to think that my character was at least, I think he was around in the Golden Age, and was part of the probably Golden Age equivalent of like the SAS or that sort of thing, like proper special forces kind. So very much a well-traveled, well-worn, like warrior, like versatile person. And it was definitely in Russia at the collapse, and that's obviously how we come across the ghost. Probably there helping out with fighting back any of the fallen or any just defensive efforts to help people escape the planet. And then obviously the fool gone and got shot.
Yep.
So
Fallen. They'll get you.
Sneaky buggers. So when the ghost wakes up and he comes to, obviously he has no idea who he is, but he still had like a dog tag on him. So whilst he had an inkling of that's who he was, he couldn't obviously put two and two together. So my Guardian story still follows the general broad story of Destiny 1, Destiny 2. It follows the main plot points, beat for beat. But he has on the side been doing like just the slightest bit of digging, just to at least find out who he actually was. Not being like, right, okay, this is me. What did I do? Was I from here? Was I from there? Who's my family? Like not going to the whole 20 what was it? Is it 23 and me? Yeah, not like that sort of like history thing, but at least have an idea of.
He did a genealogy check.
You're not Anna Bray looking for.
We're not like doing a deep dive into history. At least you just want to know who he was and get a feel for the person he was, so you can be like, right, okay, that was me. This is who I am now. I like to think that because obviously he's at least of military background, that would explain why he's so adept with weaponry the second he gets woken up by the ghost. Because you've got to think, right? If you're just a civvy and then you get reborn as a guardian, are you just instantly going to have the knowledge of using a gun, or are you just going to pick it up and be all like, I dropped it?
That is exactly. So I wish I had video the first time I played Destiny, because that's pretty much how it went. I was running and it's like, I don't know how to fire this thing. Hit, smack, 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 smack.
Just walk around. Just
a trophy for melee kills. Smack, 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 smack.
Just imagine.
I did more melee kills in the first mission than I did gun kills, because I was literally like,
I can just imagine.
That's how I got the backstory of I don't know where I came from, and I didn't wake up with any massive skills because this is the first shooter I ever played. So I was like,
just imagine just running through the dam in Oldwolf, just like holding the gun by its stock and being like bop 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 bop.
That's pretty much probably my ghost is probably like, oh my dear traveler, what have I done?
Why didn't they help you? You know?
So it's okay. So here's how you work the gun. You hold it at your side. You point at the thing you want dead. Then you press the trigger.
Embrace. You should brace.
Brace, yeah. Boom. Ah! Ghost wakes me up.
Oh my god.
You guarantee. I can guarantee.
No
I can guarantee this.
kidding.
There's at least one freshly resurrected guardian who is like, look down the barrel, press the trigger, and the ghost is there like, oh, for God's sake. Like, could you not?
Do you think that's like a common story amongst ghosts? They all meet up at some bar somewhere and they're like, let me give you the rundown of what happened the first time my guardian tried to shoot something. First of all, they shot themselves.
Yeah, my poor ghost. Just like, why?
Oh boy. Which brings up the next question, and that's so does everyone here feel they were resurrected or brought back in old Russia? Or were you brought back at a different location?
Oh no,
Ooh,
I was definitely
well.
brought back in old Russia. Like I said, my character's probably there as part of like a war effort to like help defend or help people make their way to those rocket ships.
Yeah, I will
definitely. I don't
definitely
know. I don't know why, but I thought when you were gonna say that, you were gonna say like some sort of like foreign exchange program. I don't know why it popped in my head, but it's
Fabulous.
funny.
Yeah, I woke up in old Russia. Maybe I was just somebody trying to escape the collapse and that I didn't know about, but I definitely woke up in old Russia, confused.
My Titan woke up in old Russia because she was in D1. I have not settled on. I've settled on what I think that Ares and Elise did in D2. I think that but I'll get into Ares and I'll get into their backstory more later, but I think that the Warlock, my EXO, was definitely awoken in some sort of facility similar to like Clovis Bray or some equivalent. If I'm assuming that they have more than the single one on Mars.
Definitely. You got
yeah,
Clovis,
absolutely.
Clovis Bay was like the
Obviously.
station for Rasputin, wasn't it? So you got to think for every war mind there was,
Yeah.
there's at least
Yeah.
one station for each war mind.
It's like the Microsoft of Destiny. They're everywhere.
My headcanon is that they might have been in the Cosmodrome, like in that. God, what was the name of that Warsat vault? I don't remember, or whatever the name of that war mind vault that was on Earth. In
I think that was the
yeah.
D1. The only war mind we encountered in D1 was the offshoot of Rasputin, the little fractured subsection.
Yeah.
JYS2 or something like that, or RAS.
You mean the one that-
It was RAS something.
Yeah. The one that was Rasputin until they decided to make it not Rasputin for some reason. Where they just retconned a bunch of stuff in Warmind. I'm not bitter. Don't worry about it. And then my human, this is where I get into the territory of maybe being too much into my own OCs. But I headcanon that she did not die. She's been alive in the collapse in the time since then. And she was given her powers. Because I know that's happened before. If I'm not mistaken, that's something that has happened in the lore. I feel like that's in one of the lore books in D2, and I can't put my finger on
So like your
which
guy
one.
is walking along like, do then ghost shows up and is like, hey, guess what?
It's
You're a guardian.
it's kind of like that. It's kind of like the Green Lantern thing where Hal Jordan finds the Green Lantern before him, and he kind of gives it to him.
I gotcha.
That's the headcanon I have now. I never really like established too much of it beyond, that'd be cool. Yeah, let's roll with that. Yeah, it sounds nice. And then we're kind of there at this point. But yeah, I always wanted there to be like Hawthorne, I think, should be a guardian at some point, even though Zavala called her a guardian in the vanilla campaign. But I'm like, yeah, that's cute, man. But like, it's not.
Give her the thing.
I was gonna say she's still gonna die in a few hundred years. We need her to not be dead.
She'll die, but
can the bird be her ghost?
No.
Yes, I've got it.
Lewis should be her
Lewis can bring her back.
I've got it. That could be a new Eververse item for the next season. Just a giant bird shell.
Yes, please.
I would actually spend real money to buy that.
Yeah, I would pay silver.
Can it like shake a little bit
Just vibrate
sometimes?
uncontrollably.
Vibrating, yes. Oh my god, I've never
Free
wanted something
sedatives.
more.
And
I'm so upset they took that out of the
boy.
game.
I like that they made a joke out of it in the first dawning, and that was our gift for Hawthorne was
sedatives.
us.
Oh my god.
So Amber, you said yours sort of well, sorry, yours is you. So does that mean that your guardian would be you now, but then you died and came back? Is that the backstory for that?
Yes, although I have a hard time explaining what I was doing in Russia, being as how I live in the United States currently. Maybe I was on vacation, or, I have been wanting to travel the world. So, knowing my luck, I would be going on vacation on a road trip through Europe and Russia and then die somewhere in the middle of Russia because of some stupid thing that I did, or I got mixed in with the wrong people. That sounds like something I would do.
And then you wake up without your memory and someone hands you a gun?
Pretty much.
Sounds about right.
So you and me are in the same boat. Ah, flail.
Just wait. You're like,
I mean, I figured out how to shoot the gun, but
Your
I did have
basic
help.
understanding from your Texas training.
Yes.
the Texan.
I was in a shooting
The
club.
Texan blood. It boils.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in a shooting club at one point, so
Sick.
Mhm.
I
Do you think
wasn't
you would
very
have
good.
had like your wallet on you and that's how you would remember who you were? You just pick up and you're like, what's a driver's license?
Phone
Oh,
wallet
this
keys.
looks like me.
Sort of.
So many pictures of cats in here.
Would you know what cats are when you get resurrected?
Of course. How
Would
could
I
you
always think that
forget?
that's interesting. Like what we are allowed and we're not allowed to remember.
Yeah. I don't want to start that conversation because I'll just yell about Zavala more.
Well, I sort of want to continue that conversation, so maybe
Ooh, all right.
don't hate on Zavala, but do get to your points.
Okay. Well, I could just say that that's another reason I really hated Warmind, almost as much as Curse, but not really. At least gameplay wise, definitely not. But I hated when, for some reason, arbitrarily, we're now just like, oh, don't figure out about your past. That's not good. We don't want you to do that. When it's like, oh, I guess this is a rule that you never talked about, but I guess it's a rule now. That's cool. I think that's stupid. That you should be able to do what you want with your. But I guess it's like, oh, you're not using your time correctly. I can't do a Zavala.
That was a pretty good Zavala.
It's actually pretty good Zavala.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Lance Riddick. I'm really cool and talented. I'm in John Wick.
I can just see it as like, so I was like, Guardian. We are a militia force meant to protect the civilians, not look into idle things such as who we were.
Meanwhile, in my headcanon, I'm zooming around. It's like it's not that I'm looking into my past; it's that I'm trying to figure out the world that I've been thrust into. But like the fact that I'm allowed to, we wake up, and only certain parts of our brain have been, for lack of a better, we haven't been completely reformatted. The BIOS and the basic, the basic OS is there. We use computer terms.
It's like when you get a phone with a custom version of Android. Like the base Android's there, but it's got their own spin on it, on top of it.
Right, exactly. So it's it's been and I just avoid Zavala because Ikora I think would be totally cool with me zooming around and looking into the world, and I say that in the biggest air quotes ever. Where if I find something out about myself, cool, but hiding it under this veneer of I'm doing warlock stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Look, it's a book. Warlock stuff.
Yeah, warlock
This is-
stuff.
This seems pretty obviously something Ikora would be down for because
Mhm.
depending on who you were, you may have knowledge of the past that should be preserved. Because human civilization should be preserved from pre-collapse. We don't know how much is preserved, frankly.
Uh,
It
mean,
makes
yeah,
sense, though. Just a little.
It does, especially if you've died and you haven't been alive for thousands of years. I don't think your memory would remain intact. It definitely degrade over
Oh, yeah.
time.
That's very true.
Pit rot. Well, I always think of other universes where this kind of thing happens. Like I always think of the first Highlander movie when Sean Connery's character is telling Christopher Lambert's character, you have to get, you can't marry her. You have to be, you're going to outlive her. This is a bad idea. You have to basically forget it, And there's another series. It's I read like one or two books and then I realized it was the exact same book because it's romance, but the idea is there are these immortal beings and the first rule is you don't fight. Once you resurrected is you don't have contact with anybody you knew in your past life. As far as they're concerned, you're dead. And it's this whole idea of, if you are immortal, remember what are you allowed to access from your past life, that sort of thing.
Yeah, like that's a trope that's generally played out anyways. Like if you're immortal, well, forget about your past self because it's just going to bring you more pain and misery.
Right.
I like to think that as an awoken, my Titan maybe during that D1 rush when she finally met the queen, that's sort of when everything fell into place. Because you have that first initial part where you're so confused about what you're doing, and then as you keep moving forward, you learn more and more and more. And when you first meet someone who's like you, because sure, Zavala is also awoken, but he's not.
No,
Let's
he's
be
not.
honest,
No.
he's not. The
He's
awoken
awoken
don't
in
like
name
him
and
either.
He is Guardian, Vanguard, and like Awoken is like third or fourth in the list of things he is.
It's a technicality at best.
But meeting the queen and going to the reef and seeing other awoken is most likely where my Titan learned more about her past. Because the awoken they keep pretty good records.
Mm-hmm.
And Slips, do you have something like that for your awoken?
Kinda. I think that the Dreaming City would have been a huge I don't know what the right word is. Culture shock, or just like a big internal moment of oh, this is
okay, yeah,
this.
just
Oh,
And it's not like it's. I think she would have had an out of body experience of this. All feels way too familiar.
just like
It's
Roxy was like, hang on a minute, I know this place.
Yeah, I think she just would be freaked out the whole time of have I been here, or am I just or is some taken magic making me feel really uncomfortable right now?
deja vu, the feeling you're doing something you've done before.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. Well, there's probably some weird timeline stuff that they haven't talked about that is definitely under the surface for stuff. My point with that is that I think she would have figured it out eventually, especially once there's that lore book of I forget the name of the one. I think it's in Marasena that's about that awoken who was the guardian now when they return to when they return to the outpost, and it was just really awkward for everybody. So I assume something like that happened at some point.
Do you think it would have been the first time that would be D1 where we end up actually accessing the reef and Petra's there? You just run into the Queen's Wrath.
No. Like I said earlier,
So it would definitely be.
Rhea is super, she just had this, just her entire body just pushed herself towards Petravenge. I'm not saying that in a romantic way, but
But maybe.
No,
no, because I think Petra has it for the Queen.
Oh no, Rhea is super gay for Petra, but I think she also is has this internal logic of ooh, you're important, and I feel it I need to pay attention to everything you say. Yes, please. Hello, yes, ma'am.
I think that brings up an interesting point, though, that the Awoken, you keep such good records.
Yes. Yeah.
Awoken who are running around who don't remember their past self, but I feel like because the Awoken are so long lived, the law of averages says
Yeah.
you should run into somebody that knew you before.
You know, I'm
Do you
gonna.
think it'd be awkward?
Oh, I'm sure it would be awkward, but
no,
I'm
it
just
is
saying.
like
I
I
feel
said,
like
it's
that's
the
something
worst.
that Awoken would experience.
Oh, now I remember something important that I didn't mention because I forgot about it until literally right now. Rhea is her, in super big air quotes, real name. Adne is the name she woke up with. That was something I made a long time ago and forgot about until literally right now. I forgot about that for like 2 years. Oh no. Oh man. What else have I forgotten?
Everything.
Everything.
Oh,
Everything.
yeah.
Except for that
Except-
your Titan is super gay for Petra.
Oh no, she's just super gay, full stop. No, she.
Oh, okay.
I think. I don't know if I have her like more Hawthorne or Petra more.
Ah, those are two excellent
But
choices.
I mean,
Yes.
the queen is number 0, if that makes sense.
It
Yeah, but she's
does. It does. I
Marisov is
feel like
completely unavailable.
Marisov is number 0, but she's not available. That's not true. She probably is, but like, you know what I mean. I don't want to talk
No,
about this too
she's-
much if y'all don't want to talk about romance too much.
I was gonna say,
But I could be
yeah,
here
but
for
she's
a
got
while.
it for Shax. So
Oh, I think she just. I don't know. I think that was just.
well, she also had a girlfriend before.
Yeah.
It's the Awoken that the statue that we get the bow from. That's a
Oh, yeah,
statue
Junior?
to
Sure,
her
I know.
original Queen's Wrath, and that
Yeah,
was her girlfriend for a little bit.
Sure Ido, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't
Yep.
know that. I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the best.
So I guess that means the queen is.
I'd
go with
Everything.
Pan.
No, she's super Pan.
Yeah.
All right. All right, the queen and I can get along more.
I think
Oh,
this is
man.
an important part of our guardian is, it's can guardians form emotional attachments and
can.
are we allowed to form emotional attachments?
I kind of thought that was implied from other stories.
I think it is as well, especially with the newest release.
I think that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
The what's Corsair of the Nine? I forget what her title is specifically.
Oh,
but
emissary.
Emissary. There you go.
Emissary, yeah.
But she and her boyfriend, I forget his name too. I'm terrible at names with these backstories.
Oh, you mean Orin and the Drifter,
yeah.
the artist formerly known as Orin, now the emissary of the Nine, and Drifter, who I think he was Dredgen back
It
then,
was.
which is why she calls
He
him
was
Dredgen.
And she had. Well, she wasn't in a relationship with the Drifter. She was in the relationship with another Guardian. I'm pretty
Oh
sure.
yeah.
I think one of the other Dredgens.
Maybe
They were
But
really good friends though, if I remember correctly.
It's
I don't
just
know
a
if I'd
neat.
call anyone friends with the Drifter.
Yeah, I don't think he has acquaintances.
Pretty close, for as close as the Drifter
Business
can do.
contacts. Let's not put too much weight on his
Business
relationships.
Look, I just want the
Me,
Drifter to
so.
be a normal person vaguely. Sometimes.
50 hates me, so whatever.
I hate him because he put me in that corner. I would have been friends with him if the Allegiance quest hadn't happened.
Yeah, same.
That's the mindset of like, if you say it's either me or them, I will say them every time because they didn't say that first.
Right, exactly.
It's just a matter of principle. If you want to back me into a corner for that, I'm not gonna stay in the corner because I don't know how worse it'll get later. It's like, all right, well, you made your own bed. Congratulations, you played yourself. I was on Team Gambit, but now I'm definitely not. By the way, Gambit sucks. I just personally think it's unfun.
All right.
It's just so many neat ways that your brain can go in this whole.
But you can go down just a rabbit hole
True.
of stories and ideas and just generally, this is my OC, don't steal.
Right.
Which I think next time we'll cover a little bit more about the relationships that our guardians are forming with the people around us. But it seems like the superbots are coming to clean up. So we're going to head out. Thank you, everyone, for sitting down with me. Where can everybody find you guys?
Okay, I stream about 4 nights a week. Yeah, Minecraft right now. Twitch.tv/Lady Isla Rose. Also my Twitter. I'm pretty much Lady Isla Rose all over the internet. But come watch me fail at Minecraft.
That's always fun.
You can find me literally 99% of the time online anywhere as Miniwak, which is Miniwak. Because a lot of people think of it as WACK, but no, it's WAK. Get that right. You'll find me where you need to.
My name is Sir Slips. I play video games on the internet sometimes. I have a YouTube, a Twitter, and a Twitch that I actively use. All one word, Sir Slips. I play Magic the Gathering a lot. I have a YouTube series that's going to be on hiatus for a week or so, as I'm going to RTX the week of the 3rd of July. So beyond that, keep an eye on my Twitch for Magic Arena if you're into that kind of thing. And check out the YouTube if you like Commander and other Magic the Gathering related thingamabobs.
My name is Amber, and I don't really stream at all. So if you want to play with me, AMD Cranberry is my handle on PlayStation.
And I'm Krissa. You can find me most places as Lady Hawkmoon, except for PSN, where I still haven't changed it over. It's still Lady Mav 20. And sometimes I do some streaming, but not very often. But thank you, audience, for listening. And thank you guys for joining me. We'll catch you next week where we'll be discussing relationships with our connections between our guardians and who we're friends with. So while we're gone, try not to fall off the tower.